So we have our objectives over here on the board. Let's go ahead and read those together as a group. We will analyze how the use of text structure contributes to the author's purpose. I will demonstrate comprehension by identifying causes and effects in a text. I will maintain a positive attitude and be the best version of myself. Okay, so today I'm going to talk to you about text structure and how the author's purpose of writing a text differs depending on which text structure they use. So we're going to go over some vocabulary first that all of us should have seen before. Do you guys remember vast, mariners, cosmic? So look at this first blank right here. We're going to try to fill in the blanks here. The blank was so vast that blank. What do you guys think you could fill that in with? Yes. The desert was so vast that, yes. I couldn't see the end. Sure, the desert was so vast I couldn't see the end of it. Or I could see for miles, right? What about that second one? The mariners were trying to find blank. Yes.
Buried treasure in the sea.
The mariners were trying to find buried treasure in the sea. I like that. Very creative. Anyone else? Can you think of anything?
The mariners are trying to find a species of fish.
A certain species of fish? Good, because we know that mariners are navigators of ships, right?
They're trying to find the Titanic.
Trying to find the Titanic. Ooh.
They're trying to find Gucci in the sea.
Trying to find what?
Gucci in the sea.
Okay. All right, good job. Number 3, the scientist is studying cosmic blank because blank. Cosmic. Yes.
Cosmic rays.
Cosmic rays. He's studying cosmic rays because
He can.
he can. Why else though? You.
They might be important.
They might be important.
To know more about them.
To know more about them. I mean, why do you study anything? You want to know more information, right?
Because he's interested in it.
He's interested in it.
Because it makes
Because maybe it's beautiful from Earth. Okay, sure. The fourth one, we are going to ascend blank.
Closer to the moon.
We're going to ascend closer to the moon. That works. Yes.
We're going to ascend in the rocket.
We're going to ascend in the rocket. Good job. Number 5, I learned about a principle that blank. Yes.
Really interested me.
Really interested me. Did you have something?
That it was about gravity.
I learned about a principle about gravity. That would work. Because remember, a principle is like a rule or a law, right? And the last one, the blank were forged blank. Yes.
The hammers were forged by like a blacksmith.
The hammers were forged by a blacksmith. Yeah. Yes.
The steel was forged by fire.
The steel was forged with fire. Okay.
The steel was forged into a sword.
The steel was forged into a sword.
The wrench was forged metal.
The wrench was forged metal. Yeah, you can forge metal into a tool.
The guns were forged from war.
Good. Very good job. Okay, so we're going to do an activity now to further review these. Did you have one more? What is it?
The signatures were forged.
Okay, that's a good one, but remember, that's a different type of forged. So this type of forging is like heating up metal and crafting it into tools. Good though. So I want you to get out your Chromebooks and go to Quizlet Live. live, and go ahead and enter that code. Alright, just in time. We're doing Quizlet Live, so go ahead and go to Quizlet.live and enter that code there. Make sure you put your name, please, so that we know who you are. Okay, is this name Allie?
Yeah.
What is my name then?
This is
Because I had clicked on it.
Wait, we're all from
Alright, we're all there. Awesome. Okay, so go ahead and find your team members. You can stand up. Find your team members together.
Oh, okay. Cool. Wait, okay. Oh, right. No, Mason.
Alright, ready?
My name's
We won. Wow, good job. That was quick. Alright, want to play again? Shuffle. Alright, find your new team members.
Yeah, I'm not. Let's go here. Let's sit on these little things. No, come over here.
Yay! Good job. Alright, we're gonna play one more time. One last time. Find your team members.
Sophia and Hannah.
I don't know which one, but it's alright.
Cosmic.
You guys are good at this. Awesome job. On our team.
We both went twice.
Yeah, we both went. That's so scary.
Alright. Head back to your desk.
Wow. Sit in the sunflower.
You can go ahead and close those Chromebooks for now.
That was fun.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Go ahead and close your Chromebooks for now. We'll open them back up in just a minute. Alright, so today I told you we're going to talk about text structure and how authors use text structures to make their ideas more clear to readers. So depending on the author's purpose, they could choose to use compare and contrast, cause and effect, sequential or logical order, or problem and solution. We've all learned about this and how it applies to fiction, but today we're going to talk about how authors use text structure in an informational text.
I have a question.
Yes.
Why are we switching our classes today?
We're just doing something different today. Okay, so we've all read Into the Unknown, Above and Below, right? If you can remember, what kind of text structure out of these four do you think is being used in that text? Yes.
Sequential order. It's going in order of the history.
Very good. It is going in order of history. Yes.
Maybe cause and effect.
Cause and effect? Why?
Because there's some causes and then like an effect is like that they would build a ship or submarine or whatever like there.
Yeah.
They're curious, and then the effect is they make a summary.
So the cause is that they're curious about like what's above in the sky and what's below in the sea, right? And so the effect is that they go on expeditions, they get the submarine and the hot air balloons. Good. Yes.
It could be compare and contrast because they might be comparing how using a air balloon to get up would be how it would be different from using a submarine to go down.
Okay, it could be compare and contrast because maybe hot air balloons to go up, submarines to go down. Yes.
Problem and solution.
Problem and solution, how?
Their problem was like that they wanted to go really high, but they couldn't because of the pressure. And the same thing and then they solved it by making an airtight cabin.
That's another good
The same
point.
thing down.
So they do have problems and challenges and different dangers that they face, but they find solutions and ways to overcome those obstacles. Very good point. So there's really, could we say that the author uses all four of these structures in different places? Yeah, sure. I think mostly, maybe it would be cause and effect, just like you were saying back there. They're curious, and when we got into this module, remember our essential question is, what role does curiosity play in exploration? You guys remember that question?
Yeah.
So if they're curious, the effect is that they are going on all of these expeditions and taking all of these steps to explore, right? Okay, so let me talk more about cause and effect. So one way to recognize cause and effect text structure is through the author's use of transition words. So you'll know that the author is using a cause and effect text structure when you see words like because, so, in order to, or as a result. And it's important for the reader to understand and be able to identify not only cause and effect text structure, but any text structure, because it helps us understand how events in the story are related to one another, right? So, can anyone tell me why an author would use cause and effect? Yes.
To state something that's happened and the kind of the effect of what happens, like the ice cream fell off your cone, so it melted on top.
Yeah, it's to explain things, like not only what happened, but like why it happened or how. Good. Why else might an author use cause and effect? Does anyone have any other ideas? That's okay. I think your answer pretty much summed it up for us. It's pretty simple, right? So what about compare and contrast? Why would an author use the compare and contrast structure?
To show the difference of both of them.
Yeah. So we're taking two things, right? Or two topics maybe.
Comparing.
And we're comparing. We're showing similarities and differences. Very good. What about sequential and logical order? What's the purpose of using that type of text structure? Yes, ma'am.
Show a bunch of events that happen in order.
Yeah, to show multiple events, but the order they happen in. Good. Is that what you guys were pretty much gonna say? You have one more thing?
Also, like the reason we also have it is also so everything what we said, we're all celebrating that we like confused and be like, what in the world?
Very good point. I mean, imagine if we didn't have sequential order, if everything was just kind of like jumbled up, and then they were like, oh, I forgot to say like way back here that this
So
happened.
you just added it at the end.
Right, it would be confusing. Good point. Okay, what about our last one? What about problems and solutions? Why would an author choose that text structure in their writing?
Well, it shows like the problem and then how you solve it, so you know like more about
How the person in the story solves.
How the person or how the people in the story solve that problem, right? Do we have many problems and dangers and obstacles in above and below?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the story goes on and it describes how those problems are overcome and worked around, right? Very good. Okay, so I want you guys to go ahead and open up your Chromebooks and go to Classroom and open up that digital copy of Above and Below. And whenever you get there, so I know that you're ready, go ahead and put your hand on your head so that I can see who's ready. Do you have a copy of it?
Yeah, I think I can.
If not, you can just look on your partners. Are we almost ready over here? That's okay. Alright, so I want everyone to take a look at paragraphs 5 and 6. That's going to be, I think, on that third page down. And we're going to read paragraphs 5 and 6, and we're going to try to identify what text structure the author is using here. So can I get a volunteer to please read paragraph 5?
Backed by Belgium's FNRS, National Fund for Scientific Research, August constructed a remarkable balloon. Its enormous canopy was made from very light cotton, sealed with a thin coat of rubber. To make it rise, the canopy was inflated with lighter than air hydrogen. To descend, the crew pulled a cord to release hydrogen from the top of the canopy, making the whole balloon heavier.
Good. And can I get a volunteer to read paragraph 6? How about you?
Below the canopy hung a lightweight aluminum sphere. This specially designed cabin with 8 tiny portholes and 2 hatches was just large enough for 2-man crew and their instruments. Once the balloon had risen 5,000 feet, the hatches were sealed and the cabin became airtight, so the pressure inside remained constant no matter how high the balloon went. Same principle applies to pressurized cabins that are standard on all modern high-flying passenger aircraft. In order for Picard and his assistant to breathe safely, the cabin was equipped with around 10 hours supply of pure oxygen and a system for recycling stale air.
Thank you. Okay, so how do you see the author organizing or structuring his ideas in this part of the text? Yes. Sequential order. Okay. Anyone else notice any other structures? Problem solution. How do we see a problem solution?
Oh, it's just like saying all the things they have to do.
Okay. All right. Yes, ma'am.
I have an example for cerns. So, and it says, in order for Picard and his assistant to breathe safely, the cabin was equipped with around 10 hours of supply of pure oxygen and a system for recycling stale air.
Okay, so the problem was
They didn't have enough air.
they didn't have enough air to breathe, so the solution was that they supplied those tools, right, to help them. Okay, good. What about any other structures? Yes.
Cause
sir.
and effect.
Cause and effect. Where do we see cause and effect?
Like one of the causes is like it was really hard to breathe, and so they put some 10-hour supply of pure oxygen, and so the effect was that they could breathe safely.
Okay, so that's the same example that she gave for problem solution. So it could kind of be both, right? What are some other examples of cause and effect in these two paragraphs? Yes.
So in paragraph 5, it says, to descend, the crew pulled a cord to release hydrogen from the top of the canopy, making the whole balloon heavier.
Oh, that's a good example. So in order to descend, the crew pulled the cord to release release hydrogen, and the effect of doing that, it made it heavier. Or what?
It's our problems in solution. It says to make it rise, in paragraph 5 it says to make it rise, the canopy was inflated with lighter than air hydrogen.
Well, is that problem a solution, or is that more of cause and effect, do you think? To make it rise, they filled it with lighter than air hydrogen. Is cause, what's the cause?
Well, they needed it to rise, so they filled it with lighter hydrogen.
Yeah, or you could even flip it and say they filled it with lighter than air hydrogen, and the effect was that it ascended, right? Yes.
The portholes, the cause. Wait, are we doing problem solution?
If you found an example of problem solution, sure.
Okay, the problem was that the pressure in the cabin kept dropping. So it wouldn't be safe. So the effect was that they put portholes that whenever it got to a certain height, the pressure would close.
So the solution was that they did that, right?
Yeah.
The problem was, you had your problem and solution. What about, I heard you say sequential order. So where do we see sequential order in these two paragraphs?
Well, it like goes in order of how the balloon works and how it was constructed and what it does.
Yeah, so basically we see the steps of the balloon's flight, right? Step 1, this happened, and then, right? Good. What words or phrases help us understand each step of the balloon's movement? Like what words in there signal another step in the balloon's flight? Did you take your earphone out from me? Yes, sir.
So, in paragraph 6 it says like once the balloon has risen to 5,000 feet, and then it says what happens after.
Very good. Once the balloon has risen to 5,000 feet, what other words or phrases? Yes, ma'am.
And also in paragraph 6 it says in order for.
In order for. Very good. And then what about to make it rise, right? That's a step that they give us where they're telling us how the balloon rises. Yes.
And also to descend.
And also to descend. Very good. So we've got a lot of text structures going on in just these two paragraphs, right? So now on your own, do you have one more thing?
For compare and contrast, comparing it says the same principle applies to pressurized cabins that are standard on all modern high-flying passenger aircrafts.
Oh, that's a really good one that I didn't even recognize. So for compare and contrast, we're comparing the similarity of that principle and how it applies to something else, right? Very good. Good eye. Okay, so now what you guys are going to do on your own, I'm going to come around and give you a sticky note, but I want you to read paragraphs 8 and 9 and answer these questions when I give you your sticky note. So the first question is, how does the author organize or structure his ideas in this part of the text? So basically just what we did with 5 and 6. And then your second question is, what words or phrases help you understand sequence or order of events? All right? So I'm going to come around and give each of you a sticky note.
Paragraphs 8 and 9.
Paragraphs 8 and 9. You're going to read 8 and 9. Identify the text structure that you think the author is using.
In both paragraphs?
In both paragraphs, or both of them as a whole. And then tell me what words or phrases help you see the sequence of events. Go ahead and write your name down on this sticky note too, because I'm going to give you a few minutes to read and write down your thoughts, and then I'm going to pull you guys in groups, and we're going to discuss what we found. I'm going to give you guys about 5 minutes to read and write down. Remember, you can use this chart up here on the board if it helps you.
Wait, which one is the one that leads the author of curiosity? How is
The essential question.
so like is the curiosity not again, so
Do we have to write just one of them? Or all of them?
As many things as ones you can.
So if you're still working, that's okay. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull groups of us, so probably 3 or 4 at a time, And when I pull you, we'll come sit up here and talk.
Good morning, please excuse this interruption. Will the following students please report to the cafeteria? Josue Angeles, Rosa Cabrera, Molly Carlisle, Colin Carroll, Jordy Castaneda, Lauren Conway, Angeline Dena, Cynthia Estrada, Valeria Estrada, Brandon Fuerte, Alondra Gonzalez, Violeta Gutierrez, Dulce Lopez, Anthony Luna, Zaid Martinez, Abraham Monzon, Joshua Munoz, Lily Murray, Kaylee Perez, Bricia Quinones, Shelby Riggle, Emereth Rocha, Marisol Ruiz, Ashlyn Sanchez, Ryan Thompson, Sarah Torcios, Alexis Varela, Caitlin Waters, Alan Zavala, Javier Sayas. Please report to the cafeteria.
Okay. So if you're not in a small group with me, I would like you to please read on your own. If you have a personal book in your backpack, or we have plenty of books back here on this shelf, or over here on that shelf. Okay? So I should only be with each group for just a couple of minutes, and I'll get to you guys eventually. Alright? So how about to start, can I have you three boys? 1, 2, 3. Bring your sticky note and your Chromebook with your passage. Pencil? Just your sticky note and your Chromebook.
Something that we want, so we set the goal and we actually get the accomplishment. What was your, how did you know that it was coming?
They were curious.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised.